Thank you for watching. I'm your host, Ashley Tate, here with my co-host, Christy Largent, and we are talking about starting things here in the Reading community. So today we have Nick Webb. He is an inventor, author, and speaker, and you've been in Reading for what, 16 years now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we've got to know how you do all of this stuff. I mean, it's kind of
He's amazing. And you probably have heard the name Nick Webb because he invents things like medical devices.
Yeah.
But that's like one tiny part. That was kind of your start, wasn't it?
Yeah, I started out working for a medical company. One of my biggest hits was a device which is the smallest microsilicone implant. It goes right here in the punctal opening and it treats dry eye syndrome. And it's still one of the most popular implants.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It treats dry eye syndrome.
Right.
Which is perfect because of our aging population.
Yeah, about 60, 70 million Americans have ocular surface disease.
I don't think you even have to be aging because I think I have it.
Yeah. I mean, people,
We live in a dry place.
I know.
But that morphed quickly into what you're kind of, I mean, I keep seeing you and you're like doing all these different things every couple of years. You morph again, which I love because that means we're changing and growing, right? So tell us, why don't you just like give us a quick synopsis and then tell us what's most exciting now?
Sure. Well, as my wife said, I think I need adult supervision, really. I poke around with stuff. I started out Lasson Scientific with the idea of helping companies be better at innovation. And one thing led to another, and it required that I did three things. I had to write books, I had to provide consulting services, and then to promote those, I needed to speak. So really, my life consists of about 60 speaking engagements around the world each year. And then I write a book about every 16 months. And then I work with some of the top brands to help them do a better job of delivering better experiences to their customers, either through technology or the way in which they architect those human experiences.
So when you go speak, is that the type of stuff that you speak about? So if someone wanted to come see you speak, what would you be talking about?
So, I primarily speak on the future and innovation, what organizations need to do, around digital disruption, right? Around the fact that, now people are witnessing us and engaging us through these what we now call micro-mobile moments, right? We are a completely different society now. We have digital ubiquity, and because of that, it requires that we architect different kinds of experiences. And sometimes that's technology, sometimes that's just the way in which we engage people.
So give us a story around that. Technical ubiquity. Explain that a little bit. What do you mean by that? Give me an example.
Well, digital ubiquity means that we're always connected all of the time.
Right.
And if you take a look at most people, about 80% of the time consumers will first go to their connected device. Right. And if your connected device tells you bad things about somebody, right, then you don't go there. It's called digital deflection. Right. So the way in which we architect experiences are very much about that connected device in our pocket. I mean, think about what Waze, the software or the app Waze, which is a navigation software, it really destroyed the GPS, right?
Yeah.
Netflix, which is nothing more than an API company that creates connection architecture, they destroyed Blockbuster and all of their video organizations. If you even think at Uber, the interesting message within Uber isn't the fact that they reinvented the taxi cab. They reinvented the human experience around the process of getting from one place to the next, and they leveraged social engagement, gamification, social connectivity, and all these other magical things that we do in digital platforms to make that experience more beautiful. And that's the kind of work that I do with companies.
So you have a new book coming out.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Tell us about that.
So the name of the book is What Customers Crave. And we used to look at engineering beautiful experiences for people by treating them nice. We would teach the employees to be nice, but it's so much more than that now. Yeah. Really, customer experience is an innovation activity. It's how we, as my 9 or 10-year-old, she's now 10-year-old daughter would say, we have to create delicious moments, right, for customers and for patients. And so this book is how to grow your business, how to protect your business, how to leverage what we call CX innovation, customer experience innovation, to rule the universe. And it was 36 months of research. And I just really think it's just an exciting project to be involved in.
Yeah. Now, who should be reading this book?
It doesn't matter if you own a muffler shop or if you are the CEO of McDonald's, which I've done work for. You need to read this book.
Okay.
Yep.
So you need to go out and get the book. Tell us
that would be pretty much everyone.
Tell us the name of that book.
Okay, so it's available for pre-order on Amazon, or you can go to whatcustomerscrave.com.
Whatcustomerscrave.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not out just yet. But
October 14th. Yeah.
Oh, we have to wait that long?
Yeah, unfortunately.
But you can pre-order.
You can pre-order.
Pre-order on Amazon. But he has like if you were to Google Nick Webb, well, you get a ton of stuff. But if you go to Amazon, you'd see some of these books. So the Digital Innovation Playbook. I'm guessing a lot of these kind of have morphed into this new thing that you're doing, because that's what happens, right, with our product.
Absolutely.
We like try stuff and see what people resonate with. And
Absolutely.
Then,
but I do think one that he might want to actually tell us a little bit about is, since you are an inventor, I think one of the things that some of our audience might be interested in is, how do you become an inventor? I mean, how does that work? Like, and I know you have a book on it, and tell us a little bit about
and
that.
so many people think, like, oh, I have this great idea.
Yeah.
And that's about as far as it goes.
Exactly. So that's what I'm
So
saying.
how do you take those next
steps?
steps?
Well, you know, the ex-CEO of Apple, Scully, said that the key to being a great inventor is seeing opportunities before they become obvious.
Right.
That's the key to this.
Right.
The truth of the matter is that 99% out of the 3,000 patents that are filed each and every week, only about 1% of those will ever reach successful commercialization.
Right.
And the reason for that is we invent stuff nobody wants. Right. So the key to inventing great technologies is, first and foremost, really understand what we talk about in the upcoming book, the soul of the customer. What do they love and what do they hate, right? And if you can understand that, then you can develop these solutions. I have a book called Invent Stuff, which really walks you through the step-by-step process of inventing products. And the first suggestion I would have is never go to a 1-800-invention type company. Number one recommendation.
Okay.
Because I don't know personally about any scenarios where those are not fraudulent, right? The other thing I think inventors need to know is that nobody's going to save you. If you want to make it in the invention space, you have to invest in it. Nobody wants your idea. Your idea is worthless to people. It only becomes valuable when you take the risk out of it. So if you're waiting to license your idea to industry, statistically, that's an impossibility.
Wow.
So what do they need to do? Just get busy and produce it?
There is a logical and sequential and sort of dosimetric process they should go through. The first thing that they have to do is get a good licensed patent attorney or licensed patent agent. Because there are 3,000 patents issued every week, there's a pretty good chance somebody's already been there.
Right.
But just because you didn't see it in the market doesn't mean that it's not protected under U.S. patent law. So the first thing I would recommend is get yourself a good patent attorney.
So what about people who are inventing things? I mean people like this all the time. They're trying to invent something, but they don't have the funding to hire a patent attorney.
That's the perfect question. You just asked the perfect question. So let's say we want to open a bakery.
Okay.
Right? So what's the first thing we got to do if we're going to open a bakery?
Well, you got to get a business name. And
find a place to bake.
Right.
Come up with a recipe.
You got to list stuff. You got to get a loan, right? So in other words, an invention is a business, right?
Right.
To think that other people are going to invest in your idea is preposterous, and that's where most innovators fail.
Really?
So
It's
just figure
no
out how to
different. It's
pay
a
for
bakery,
it.
right? You have to pay for it if you want the financial benefits. So I think that's the thing to know. Yeah.
I love that. I think that's such a good, crystal clear way to kind of drill down on, if you want to do this, you just have to invest in yourself, essentially. And so if you do want to create something or you have an invention, you need to get this book, because it sounds like there's a lot of good juicy details
there is,
on how
I
to
think.
really get started.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought these books. Tell us about your other two, and then I want to jump back into kind of what customers want, because I really want to hear a little bit more. I think people would be very interested in that for their businesses.
Sure. So Breakers and the Innovation Playbook are really sort of enterprise books, and they talk about the big four. This book talks about the 4 future trends: disruptive innovation, connection architecture, consumerization, and something you're familiar with, the millennial shift.
Yes.
How do these 4 things determine the success of your business? And that's really what that book's about. I think it's a great
read all
outline.
of these.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Invention Playbook is if you're a company and you want to develop better technologies with better success rates, and that's the book. That literally is the playbook on how to win at innovation, but more from a corporate perspective.
Okay.
Whereas Invent Stuff is more for the just getting started novice inventor.
I love that. I love that you're kind of like getting everybody
I think
in
so,
all of
yeah.
these things.
It's my jam.
Yeah, it's my
I want you to talk a little bit about this, because this is not a book, it's not a presentation, but it is a toy.
Yeah.
So tell us about this.
I noticed my son when he was about 14 laying on the floor reading a step-by-step instruction Lego manual. And it occurred to me that we were creating a society of replicators.
Yes.
And replication is not what the new economy is looking for. What the economy is looking for is innovators. So I wanted to create an open platform that allowed kids to really and truly express their genius. So with this particular product, we called this the STEM kit because you can make literally tens of thousands of different objects, and it's not fueled by some corporate book. It's fueled by the genius of the kids.
I love
And
it.
it's awesome. We did a thing at Turtle Bay where we did a marshmallow launcher contest, where these kids have their little, they have their stuff, and then they get into a room, and the competition was who can throw a marshmallow the farthest by designing it. All of them having the same kit. So it was really, really
that
powerful.
sounds like fun.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the kind of stuff that makes us really neat. In fact, we use it. Freightliner, one of the largest trucking companies in the world, they use this in their innovation lab to teach executives iterative ideation and collaboration. But yeah, this is and then the other one here. If you can think of if you think of Legos has 2 connection points, and it typically makes square stuff.
Right, right.
But you know, coolness doesn't live in squareness, right?
No.
So I took the principle of a small Romney tetrahedron mathematical solid shape, and I designed it so that you could have 10 connection points instead of 2 connection points. So it allows smart kids to do really stupidly cool things. It really just, you can make amazing stuff out of this.
Wow.
And it's
So
called the
where can you
Genius
get
Box.
these? Where can you get these?
They're available on Amazon. They're
Okay.
available at Barnes & Noble. Most specialty toy retailers sell them.
All right.
Yeah.
That is,
Well,
you're doing
and
some
the thing, as I look at this, I think what a brilliant idea. These are, like, I could see every classroom across America utilizing these, and
course.
homeschoolers and families.
Yeah. How long have
how
they
does
been
it
out?
go from idea to this box? I mean, sometimes it just feels, it would feel insurmountable because, but I'm not in this space.
Yeah, yeah.
You're in this space, but the idea of getting something from an idea in my head, like watching my son, to a completed product designed in California but made in China. I mean, how does that happen?
Yeah, right. Well, it's a long, arduous journey, to be sure. But it starts with, first of all, you come up with a design concept. You check with your attorney to make sure that is not going to infringe other people's designs. And then you start the process of refining its functionality. Now, I have the benefits of having 3D printers and CAD and all that kind of stuff in my office. So we can go from a
Just laying
concept.
around his office.
Yeah, like in 8 o'clock in the morning, I started the Genius Lab just by tearing apart a small Romney tetrahedron. By the end of the day, I had invented the Genius Box. And
So it's you're in your zone.
Yeah.
So the name of the new book, once again,
it's called What Customers Crave.
What Customers Crave
Yep.
by Nicholas Webb. We're so lucky to have had him on. I think I just got that we're about ready to end this segment. I can't believe it went so
Wow.
fast. What Customers Crave, you can find it on Amazon, pre-order it. I want you to stay tuned though, because we have a second half coming right up. Thanks.
We're back, and we are speaking with Chico Start's director, Wendy Porter. So excited to have
Hi.
you on.
Yes.
It's all about startups today, and
Yes.
Wendy is
Innovation.
Yes, innovation, startups.
Yeah.
And
So Wendy is with, what is Chico Start?
Yeah.
So
but tell
Chico
us what
Start is a startup incubator in Chico, and what that means is incubators span all different types of, there's lots of different types of incubators. So we have 2 main facets to ours. The first one is we provide resources for startups.
Okay.
So mentoring is the key component of that. And then the other piece is the amenities that we offer. So the actual physical office space at an affordable rate. On the other side, we also create a platform of connectedness for the community, especially in the technology space. So we have strong partnerships with Butte College and Chico State internship programs, and we connect those interns to the business community, especially in the technology space.
So I guess my big question is it free to startups, or what? How does this all work? Like, how does it all work together?
Sure. Well, we launched about 2.5 years ago
Okay.
through the help of the city, Chico State, and Quorum Technologies, and MNNR, who did our infill for the office space.
Okay.
And since that time, we've had 32 startups come through and get
Wow.
assistance. 6 of those have graduated or launched, and one of those was an acquisition event. The other ones outgrew the space and are now renting commercial office space.
So when you say they graduated, does that mean that that means that they either got acquired, or
Yes.
it means that they
They
just
outgrew the
moved out?
space and they
Okay.
moved out. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Just
too many
either one
people,
of
too many employees, and those things represent about 42 jobs in the past 2.5 years.
fantastic.
That's really great.
Yeah.
We do have a membership model. So People that use the facilities pay $220 a month to get 24/7 access. We have really fast internet, and they each get their own private VPN for their business. Use of all of the community collaborative spaces, conference room rental, all that type of stuff. Then for people who just stop in and don't need a dedicated space, that's a little bit less expensive. And then we have a remote membership. And this is really popular because it allows people who have full-time jobs who want to look into maybe doing a startup. They get access to our mentors and our mentoring program.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, and we have 25 really amazing mentors.
How do you find your mentors?
Exactly. Yeah, those questions.
They have found us, honestly.
Really?
So Chico has a very large community of retired professionals from the Bay Area. So we have Apple executives. We have, it's just an amazing set of mentors that provide their time to the startup. So we're grateful for them.
They volunteer their time?
Yes.
And then the people who have the memberships or help funding, it helps fund it.
Yes.
So, but if somebody comes and says, I want to start this business, but I don't know what my next step should be. This is my idea. We talked a little bit about it with Nick. Nick's like, well, just do it. Yeah. But for the rest of us, who do not have all that knowledge, like he just blew me away, frankly.
I know.
What do we do? What do we do with you?
So what Nick said is it's really true. You have to have it in you to put in the time, have the drive to get it done.
Right. That's right.
But initially, when they come to me, we sit down, identify where they are. They might be in just the idea phase. They might have already been generating revenue and they need help to get to the next step. And so I identify which mentor would make the most sense to work with them. And then the three of us sit down and we go through a benchmarking process. And we identify where their next critical milestones that they should be focusing are. And then we kind of give them their marching orders. And so from there, I'll check in on them and assign different mentors if needed, but I really push them to do it themselves.
Now, how often do they meet with the mentors? And so they can 2 points of clarification.
Yeah.
You can just be part of Chico Start and just have access to the mentors. That's a totally different membership.
Yes.
And that's remotely.
Yes.
So is it by phone? Is that what you mean?
Well, we actually have members from Truckee.
Really?
Oroville, yeah. So our mentors have really attracted people from out of the area.
So how much does it cost just to be like a remote?
$59 a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
and you have access to this mentor program.
Wow. Absolutely.
That's
and
a
they'll
great value.
utilize the conference rooms when they meet with the mentors. But it really depends on the startup how often they're going to be using the mentors.
Yeah.
So we have 24 current members. Out of those 24, about 5 of them are actively seeking funding right now.
Okay.
And one of them is negotiating an acquisition event. So we're really excited about those top ones. And so I put a lot of effort into those ones, of course.
Right.
And then the ones at the bottom, get to a certain point, and then I'll put more time in
But that's
to
good
help you
because
succeed.
you're triaging essentially, who needs your help the most, which makes it so that you don't get burned out and that they are still getting their stuff done.
Right.
I mean, I think that's great that you have the benchmarking process because I think for a lot of startups, they sometimes don't even know what to do next. So it's nice to have a little guidance.
And it's interesting. Sometimes you have the business person who's starting the startup. They get the business side. Other times you have a developer who's got the idea. And so it's really, interesting.
So funding, I think for a lot of viewers that would be a very interesting aspect for them. The funding, the funding part is sometimes the hardest. So you help them get to the benchmarking, and then do you come up with, okay, now it's time to start working on funding for you. So let's look at X, Y, and Z, or do you pull together the people? Do they have to go out and find it?
So we have a relationship with a lot of different investors, angel groups, private investors, venture capitalist groups, and so depending on where they are and investors they have investment criteria basically. They like to pick and choose which ones. So I know what those are, so I can help groom the startup and then put them in front of the correct investor at the right time.
Do they mostly have to go down into the Bay Area to do their pitches?
No, we have we have it all over. So sometimes down in Sacramento, sometimes the investors come up to us. We have angel groups here in Redding, Shasta, and the 530 Angels as well. And there's investors in Grass Valley, so they're kind of
that
all
is
over.
Impressive.
That's neat. And you've found all these people. They're out there, or have you kind of encourage these people to become the investors?
The history of Chico Start, we were initiated out of a economic development agency, Innovate North State, and the CEO, John Gregory, he's the one who had a lot of these investor connections and relationships in the beginning, and now he's in Grass Valley with the economic development group there.
So it's morphed from Innovate North State. We had him on probably
2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
long time ago.
And there was a shift. this year, January 1st, Chico Start started operating on its own outside of Innovate North State. So the Innovate North State was really focused on regional economic development, and Chico is now we have focused down into helping startups in Chico specifically.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, but one of the most amazing thing that's come out of all of this is it's not just about, it started out, let's launch these startups to really help the economic health of our community, and now we're starting to see that it's this mindset that we're supporting.
That's right.
So it's these types of people who want to solve problems and they want to work hard to get it done. That's the value in supporting.
And the other
those
part of
groups.
that is you're stopping the brain drain.
Yes.
You're keeping the people there who feel like you can't do those things in Chico or
Oh
in
yeah,
Reading or
and
wherever.
that is a huge role that Chico Start plays in the health of Chico, because we take the students, we educate them on the opportunities with the startups and with the larger business community.
Right.
And so we have some programs in place where we bring the students in and we bring the businesses in, and they meet at Chico Start and train each other on current technology being used. And so
That is
we're really
fantastic.
fostering those types of programs a lot this year.
So how would an entrepreneur get into your program? What's the application process?
So we have an online application form on our
so simple.
website.
What
Yeah,
is your website?
chicostart.com.
Oh, easy.
Yes, and so we mostly take technology startups because they are potentially have more potential to scale quickly and impact the economy more. But like I said, this problem-solving mentality that we're fostering spans all entrepreneurs, all startup founders, and so I don't turn everybody away, but we give priority to technology startups.
And how many do you have at a time? How many are you supporting at a time?
So currently we have 24 right now, and about half of those come into the office, half are remote.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of the ones that are remote are just starting to think about, can I do this?
Yeah.
And they have full-time jobs mainly, or something like that.
That's fantastic, though, that you're getting people that work and are trying to start something, and people who are just starting out.
Yes.
One of the questions I have about your is your internship program.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about how that works? And
Sure.
that's working with Chico State?
And Butte College now, so we just started it with Butte.
Okay,
yes.
so tell us, I'm excited.
So it's really good. So it depends. I mean, there is a career center on campus, and there's someone who helps the students find internships and jobs. But really, we found what works the best is relationships with the students themselves, or with specific professors who know their students. So I would like to see that changed a little bit. I want it pushed more from the top down and get these students engaged. Right now, there's a lot of word of mouth. We have probably 20 interns any semester that either work for Chico Start or work for the other startups. And so now, when we can't place them all, now we're pushing them out into the community.
That's
and
fantastic.
we have a
Oh my
couple.
gosh.
Yeah, there's a couple of tech businesses in Chico right now that have really good internship programs, but there's some that don't, and so we can really help that. The students need to know that they have a place to stay. We want to keep that talent.
That's right.
In Chico. So.
That's what I mean. I think that's the
Same
beauty
issue.
of it all.
You guys are having Chico State grads graduate and leave, and we're having our high school grads go away and not come back. So it's the same issue. So what was the startup weekend? What's that all about?
So Startup Weekend is wonderful. We did one up in Reading. So I partner with other incubators in Northern California. So
like Hope?
Seth and the Venture Hub, Velocity Ventures in Folsom and Sacramento. There's a couple in Grass Valley. One's getting started in Yuba City, and there's one in Davis. And we did the Startup Weekend in Reading, so I helped them plan that. A lot of my mentors came up and participated in that. And that was in the fall. It was great.
What
and
was
then,
that?
So they're the same thing. It's basically like a event in a box. So
I love it.
they give you everything that you need to run it, and they even give you a facilitator. So we do one in Chico in the spring, and we had about 60 participants, and everybody pitches their ideas on Friday night, and the participants get to vote on which ideas they want to work on.
Oh my
and
gosh.
so we had 8 or 9 ideas that got voted for.
And these are all ideas that have not been started yet.
Correctly.
Okay.
It has to be just an idea.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
So that sounds amazing.
Yes.
And then I guess this coming fall you have something else. What, you're going to be doing a big fundraising push?
Yeah, so we used to rely on grant funding to survive, and so we're trying to move away from that and move to a more sustainable business model.
Right.
And we want to get to a healthy point where we actually have donations coming in smaller increments. So we're going to be asking the community to support what we're doing, and you'll see more about that
As
coming.
you get closer to it in
Yeah.
the fall.
Yes.
Well, chicostart.com?
ChicoStart.com. Yes.
.com is the best way to get a hold of you, I'm guessing.
Yes.
And for applicants, are you taking new applicants right now?
Yes, we are. We have 2 companies that are graduating in the coming month. One's getting acquired, and one's moving out of the space. So we have open space.
So if you're an entrepreneur, have an idea, you want to get started, it would be a good time to contact ChicoStart.com. So between ChicoStart.com, Wendy, thank you so much for coming on, and Nick Webb at NicholasWebb.com, you are loaded for innovation and ideas. All because you watched the forum. We are so glad that you are watching us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next time.